over the next 10 days, we get to see the machines that are crooked, the ballots that are fraudulent, and if we're wrong, we will be made fools of. But if we're right, a lot of them will go to jail. So let's have trial by combat.
Speaking of fools and jail, the January 6th development that broke over the weekend, the Trump attorney who in that video calls for trial by combat, Rudy Giuliani, finally responded to his subpoena, met with House January 6th investigators who are probing his role in the attempt to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. A source telling NBC News that on Friday, Giuliani spoke with the committee for roughly 9 hours, including breaks for we're not sure what. The committee, which subpoenaed Giuliani in January, is investigating his role in publicly promoting, quote, claims that the 2020 election was stolen, as well as participating in attempts to disrupt or delay the certification of the election results based on Giuliani's allegations. NBC News has reached out to Rudy's attorney for comment. Let's bring into our coverage New York Times congressional reporter Luke Broadwater. Luke, Betsy, I think, described the 1-6 committee's last 2 weeks as a series of breakthroughs. I think you've echoed that sentiment. Talk about what the Rudy interview means for the 1-6 committee.
Well, Rudy was a central player in the plot, plan, whatever word you want to use, to overturn the 2020 election. And so he knows a great deal about all aspects of this plan, probably as much as anybody, with the possible exception of Donald Trump himself and perhaps Mark Meadows. He was instrumental in organizing the fake electors in the various states. He personally had a hand in suggestions to seize voting machines, and he relayed messages on behalf of Donald Trump along those lines. Obviously, he spoke at the Ellipse, and you played the clip where he calls for trial by combat. What does remain to be seen is exactly how much the January 6th committee got out of him. I've spoken with a few people who were there, and his testimony lasted, I think, it lasted about 9 hours, but he took an hour-and-a-half break, including he did his radio show from New York live on the air during the break for an hour. Yeah. And I'm told he invoked executive privilege, attorney-client privilege, rather, quite a bit. That is legitimate. The committee sees that as legitimate. He was Donald Trump's attorney, so there are some things that he can do that for. But they did think they could get information out of him about other aspects, him talking to state legislators or him talking to members of Congress, not necessarily those conversations with Donald Trump, but other aspects of the effort to overturn the election. So I heard at one point it got a little contentious with Representative Raskin of Maryland, but we have not seen a full transcript yet. I haven't gotten personally a really great detailed readout of what all was said during those 7.5 hours or so. But it is a significant development that after however many months it's been since January, that they did finally get him to come in, sit down under oath, and give a sworn deposition.
So, Luke, it seems that probing the fake electors is something that they are, I don't want to use the wrong adjective, but diligently trying to run down. And I think you've reported previously about connective tissue. What was the connective tissue behind the fake electors plot and the White House or the Trump campaign? What is sort of the activity on the campaign level that would suggest that some of that work was done ahead of the Rudy interview?
Well, there's a fair amount. I mean, you have early on, the committee focused on this call that Trump's secretary made to electors in at least Michigan, where she said that they were organizing a push to put forward these false slates of electors and reclaim the election. The committee wrote in some documents that Mike Roman and another gentleman on the Trump campaign possibly organized this effort on behalf of Mr. Giuliani, on behalf of Mr. Trump. So they do see the Trump campaign as directly behind organizing all these different slates of electors in the different states. Now, each state has a different law. Some might allow this and might be legal, but others it might not be. And that's one thing that I believe the Justice Department is looking at right now, because if people did sign false statements that were sent to the National Archives in violation of their state laws, that they or whoever put them up to it could be in legal jeopardy. So that it is a very serious matter. And, I'm not sure how much Rudy Giuliani told the committee under oath and how often he invoked his privileges with that regard. But I do know it was a focus of the committee's questions.